Hari Om.
Hari Om, sir. Hari Om, everyone.
Hari Om, everyone.
Hari Om Utsav ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, sir. Hari Om, everyone.
Hari Om, everyone.
Hari Om Utsav ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, sir. Hari Om, everyone.
Hari Om, everyone.
Hari Om Utsav ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, sir. Hari Om, everyone.
Hari Om.
I was wondering why is it playing on loop? Like I heard that before. Let's start. Om. Pratah smrami hridhi samsfuradaatmatattvam Satchit sukham paramaham sagatim turiyam Yat swapna jagara sushuptamavaiti nityam Tad brahma nishkalamaham nacha bhuta sangaha Shantanam vitaraginam Mumukshunam apekshoyam Atmabodho vidhiyate Bodhonya sadhanebhyo hi Sakshan mokshaika sadhanam Pakasya vahnivagnyanam Vina moksho na siddhyati. We'll chant from verses 6 to 10. Verse number 6 to verse number 10. Once each. Ajopi sannavyayatma bhutanamishvaropi san prakritim swamadhisthaya sambhavamyatmamayaya yada yada hi dharmasya ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्मसंस्थापनार्थाय सम्भवामि युगे युगे जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन वीतरागभयक्रोधः मामुपाश्रिताः बहवो ज्ञानतपसा पूता मद्भावमागताः. Chapter 4. We'll take up any questions quickly before continuing with our discussion. Are there any questions? Good. Well, not so good, I guess. Okay. Many births of mine and yours have passed by, O Arjuna. I know them all, while you know not, O Parantapa. The last verse we studied, where the Lord responded to Arjuna. Arjuna's question was that you're here right now, and The names you have taken of Viswan and Manu and Ikshvaku, they all lived eons ago. So how did you mean you taught them in the beginning? The whole secret is in the word I. So Lord Krishna says, many births of mine and yours have passed by, O Arjuna. I know them all. And just to reiterate that when Lord Krishna uses the term, the pronoun I, he means the self. I know them all while you know not, O Parantapa. As you gain the vantage point of the self, as you turn more and more spiritually insightful, as you grow more and more evolved, you gain this more panoramic view of the world. In the initial stages, it may not extend to multiple lives, but it certainly extends to a deeper and more pervasive understanding of the world you live in, at least. Right? You get an understanding of how things function, the mechanics of life, the inevitability of certain things. You become a beautiful witness to the passage of time and its variations. And I'm not here to split hairs about whether this is possible or not. Right? There'll be a fair set of people who say, this is not possible, it's not possible to, what do you mean by past life? There's no such thing as past lives and stuff like that. The purpose of this class is not necessarily to prove or disprove anything, right? As I've said before, that as you grow on the journey, you'll get more and more of a conviction about this theory of reincarnation. And it's also not in the theme of Vedanta to necessarily try to disprove something else or, be at loggerheads about proving something. But as I said, it's a theory that comes out of plausible thinking, plausible reasoning, and it's for one to be open to the possibility of it, right? It's a mystery, no doubt about it. The fact that what happens before birth, what happens after death. Anyone who says with conviction, either for or against, I know there is certainly life after death, or I know there is certainly not life after death, neither of them know what they're talking. Because it's not possible necessarily for this. But always be open to the possibility that as you grow, as you evolve, newer facets and newer secrets of the universe will unfold unto you, right? These mysteries are beautiful. It's much like science. It's much like science that you hold a certain view based on certain hypotheses, based on certain assumptions, based on certain theories, and then some new evidence or some new vision or some new experiment sort of helps you either grow that vision or completely discard it as well. So you must approach the subject with that scientific temper, right? And what is a scientific temper is that you don't have a strong need to believe in something and to make others believe it, right? It's more like a beautiful game. So many births of mine and yours have passed by, Arjuna. But the fact that the Lord is saying it, gives it some weightage, right? That's all it is. The fact that it's coming from the central text, which has been followed by scores and scores of people, millions and millions of people for thousands and thousands of years, lends this hypothesis, lends this theory some weightage. That's all, right? So many births of mine and yours have passed by. I know them all. The self, the enlightened, knows them all, while the limited, restricted individual, restricted by their own ego, by their own individuality, they know not. They are completely identified with their mind, which has faced apohanam. It has forgotten. There's no way for us to remember. Incidentally, I think I've mentioned this in the class. There's one Netflix show also on death. I think I mentioned it in class. I don't remember the name of the show, but it's a show with 6 episodes, and it deals with themes of the ideas of afterlife and the ideas of death and near-death experiences and what that would feel like. And the last episode in that group of sort of that series, the last episode is of the theme of reincarnation, and it's almost like a glitch in the matrix kind of thing, where every now and then an individual is born who seems to remember something, or at least have some association with a past life. Now, whether that is them or whether that was some other like wrong data loaded in wrong drive, a glitch in God's matrix, where they've documented a few individuals who are born with the capacity or some clear remembrance of what their past life was, or maybe past lives were, and within a couple of years that memory seems to fade out. Within a couple of years, so when they were children they clearly remember, and it's documented, but within a couple of years, like most things as children, we've forgotten, right? But that memory seems to fade out, but nonetheless it seems to just spark a curious conversation as to what do we come with, what is this data set we come with, what do we take away from with us, because at the time of death, the word for death in Sanskrit is called dehant. It's the end of your body, it's the end of your physical body. But what about this non-physical you? All these thoughts, these emotions, these ideas, these beliefs, these values, these wishes, these desires, what happens to all of them? Do they just disappear? How do they disappear? Where do they go? And when an individual is born, what do they come with? All curious questions, all beautiful questions, all of these curious questions that lead to the theory of reincarnation. I know them all, while you know not. Verse number 6. Ajopi sannavyayatma bhutanamishvaropi san prakritim swamadhisthaya sambhavamatma mayaya. Ajopi sannavyayatma bhutanamishvaropi san prakritim swamadhisthaya sambhavamyatma mayaya. Ajopi san. Aja means unborn. Ajopi san. Though unborn, of imperishable nature and Lord of all beings, presiding over my own Prakriti, I am born by my own Maya. Once again, when the Lord uses the word I, he is referring to the Atman, the self, God, big G God, the Atman, the self, the spirit, beyond the matter, beyond the material, beyond vasanas. It's impossible to understand the spirit with the intellect. It's impossible to completely grasp it and say, aha, yes, I've got it. But there are many indicative definitions, many attempts made to try to convey what is the Atman, what is the self, right? So in Vedanta we say that you can only realize, you can only become the self. You cannot comprehend it with your buddhi. It's not something you can grasp with your buddhi. Nonetheless, there are many indicative definitions, and even through the Bhagavad Gita we see them. Even through the whole text and several other texts, we see beautiful attempts to explain what is the Atman, and we'll see it later in the text as well. But here is one such definition: Aja. Aja is a term given to explain or given to indicate the nature of the Atman, in some sense, if it were possible to describe the nature of the Atman. Unborn, Aja. The Atman is unborn. Unborn means beyond birth and death. How can something be without being born? How can something be without being born? It means it was there before birth. That's what it's implying. If it was there before birth, it was there before the previous death. It's beyond birth and death. Right? So there's no, it's not going through birth and death in the manner in which an individual, a deha, a body is going through birth and death. It's not subject to birth and death. It's unborn, Aja. Means it's beyond the cycle of birth and death. It's beyond the cycle of karma. It's beyond the cycle of manifestation and unmanifestation. Right? It's Nitya. Another term used for the Atman is Nitya, eternal. There's never a point where it is not. Puratanaha, it's ancient, means it's older than what you can imagine. So all these terms are given to spark our thinking about what could possibly be this thing called the Atman. One such thing is unborn, Aja, though unborn, Ajopisan, of imperishable nature. Another term, Avyayam, another definition of the Atman. Imperishable means it doesn't change with time. Everything, every material object, every person, every being perishes with time. It is subject to birth, growth, disease, decay, death. Right? Everything you know around you, everything within you, the cells of your body, the strength of your muscles, intangible things as well. Everything goes through a process of change and ultimate decay and death. It perishes, it rises and it perishes. Intangible things also. Businesses, think of it this way. One of the first lessons my father gave me when I started work with him was, a business is like an individual. It has a birth, it has a growth, it has a period of maturity, then there's a decay and there's an eventual death. Very rarely do companies live beyond a certain age, unless they completely change. Very rare. So everything is subject to change. Everything perishes. The Atman is imperishable. It is not subject to change with time. It remains the same. It is constant. Right? Time does not alter it in any way. So, though unborn and imperishable, Aja and Avyayam, the Atman, though unborn and imperishable, and Lord of all beings, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam. Ishvara Bhutanam in this case, Lord of beings. The Atman is the enlivening principle which enables beings to function. We talked about it in the previous class. It's that, I think it was Rashmiji's question. What does it mean to be a catalyst? Right? Inactive principle, but a catalyst. It's inactive, itself does not act, but it is what catalyzes matter to perform its functions. The mind can feel enlivened by the Atman. The intellect can think enlivened by the Atman. The body can move and function enlivened by the Atman. Atman is that electricity that enables these various equipments to perform their function. Without electricity, the best of computers would be useless, or without a battery. Electricity doesn't differentiate between a television and a supercomputer and a torch. The electricity is electricity. Whatever it passes through, it simply enlivens. It is the Lord of the beings in that sense. Without it, nothing can function. So it presides. So it's the Lord of beings. Now, though unborn, imperishable Lord of beings. He's given these indicative definitions of the Atman, indicating that it's beyond matter and its various sort of changes that material things around us go through. It's unborn, it's imperishable, it's the Lord of all beings, it's the inactive principle in the background. Presiding over my own Prakriti, I am born by my own Maya. So he says, even though I'm unborn, I am of imperishable nature. Even though I don't go through any change, however, I am born by my own Maya. It's an apparent contradiction. Are you born or are you unborn? And if you're born, it means you're going through change. So are you imperishable or are you perishable? Now, once you're born, do you stay forever or not? It's very difficult for humanity or the bulk of humanity to understand the depth of the philosophy, the core of the philosophy. It's almost unrelatable to have a God, to have an idea of God that is inactive, that is unborn, that is unmanifest, right? Humanity craves manifestation. Humanity craves to be saved, right? So, in many ways, the devotee in us, Lord Krishna is speaking to the devotee in us when he says, I am born by my own Maya. First of all, he says, I am born by Maya. Maya means that which is not. Maya means illusion. So itself he is saying that actually I am not born. I am not born. It's Maya. This is a Leela. This is all a drama. I am not born. Yet, in this realm of Maya, in this realm of illusion, I am born. I come. What comes? The Atman comes. In what way? What does it mean for the Atman to come? The Atman is there in you right now. The Atman is there in me right now. But it is dormant, as it were. It is inaccessible. You and me, we are completely dominated by our material layers. We're completely dominated by our egoistic personality. We have lost touch, as it were, with the Atman, the spirit. So for the spirit to be born, there's no such thing as a physical spirit being born. What it means is, and this is an intellectual interpretation. A devotee will look at it slightly differently, right? For a devotee, it's as good as Krishna being born. But this is an intellectual interpretation. What it means for I am born by my own Maya, I am born through the ages. What it means is a person that is connected to the self, means a self-realized person, a spiritually evolved person is born. And we'll talk about it in the next verse. But he says, though unborn, of imperishable nature, these definitions, these indicative definitions are very difficult. This theology is very difficult it's unrelatable to 99% of people, right? Yet from time to time, I am born, O Arjuna. And keep in mind, whenever we're using the phrase I, Lord Krishna means the self is born. So what does it mean and why is he born? We'll see in verse number 7 and 8. Beautiful verses, very famous verses, and I'm sure you've heard and read them before. Verse number 7 of chapter 4. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Yada yada hi dharmasya ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्. Verse number 8. परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. Yada yada hi dharmasya, very famous verse of the Bhagavad Gita, giving a lot of conviction to humanity, restoring a lot of faith in humanity that God is with us, right? Sometimes being on the path of good, sometimes being on the path of the righteous may seem very isolating, especially when the whole world seems to be going against it. The whole world is looking for short-term gratification rather than mature, stable happiness. The whole world seems to be going after unrighteous means rather than following the righteous path. So it can be a very isolating journey. And yet this verse gives us so much conviction that the Lord has guaranteed, has assured us that He will come. In what name and form we don't know, but He's there to support us. So He says, O Bharata, whenever indeed there is a decline of dharma and a rise of adharma, I manifest myself. So in continuation to the previous verse where He says, I am born by my own maya, I am born by my own maya, He's telling you when is He born and why is He born. Right? So when is He born? When there is a decline of dharma and a rise of adharma. So though unborn, though imperishable, though this, though that, I am born means the self is born, and we are leaving it to interpretation. We're leaving it open to interpretation. Perhaps what He means is a person who is enlightened, a person who is close to enlightenment is born. When? When there is indeed a decline of dharma and a rise of adharma. I manifest. In what form He's not saying. In what form He's not saying. Right? It's open to interpretation. And why is He born? So when is answered in verse number 7, verse number 8. Why is He born? For the protection of the virtuous, for the destruction of the wicked, and for the establishment of dharma. Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. From age to age, from eon to eon, from time to time, from period to period, continuously, I am born to restore dharma. Satyameva jayate. Truth alone will be victorious. Truth alone will prevail. Yes, there may be periods where there seems to be a lot of evil, there seems to be a lot of unrighteousness, there seems to be a lot of cruelty, and that's precisely the time. And one may ask, why is that? How is the Lord saying He will come? And look, it's it's okay to have also some mystical views on when the Lord will come, how He will come, right? But perhaps one way to look at this, and this is not to remove the mysticism for it, because this is equally mystical, this is equally glorious, right? One way to look at it is that when there is a rise of adharma, when there is a rise of negative values in society, when a society is taken over by adharmic qualities, there is a lot of suffering, there is a lot of pain, there is a lot of agony. And this world is bound to go through cycles of dharma and adharma. This world is bound to go through cycles of peace and then suffering. And one may argue that suffering is a lot more. Suffering lasts for a much longer time and peace lasts for a much shorter time. Why? Because we almost become complacent to a point where we are not able to feel. Right now, we can see there are pockets of the world which are suffering a lot. There are pockets of the world which are immune from that suffering. And what about us who are immune from the suffering? The rest of the world seems to be doing nothing about where there is suffering, apparently, right? Until it all erupts and there's a churn once again. So this world goes through cycles of righteousness and unrighteousness. This world goes through cycles of um, peace and prosperity, and on the other hand, suffering and destruction, right? And when there is a time of turmoil, when there is a time of instability, when there is a time of adharmic values, when there is a lot of suffering, that's exactly when humanity is looking for answers. That's exactly when people, some individuals who take responsibility of their own lives and who take responsibility for others, perhaps. First of all, taking responsibility for their own lives, they rise. They rise as saviors, as people that work towards constructively rebuilding society, as it were. And they come in all sorts of fierce forms, vicious forms, right? Um, there are forms of the Lord throughout the Vishnu Puran, right? The Bhagavad Puran. Look at Narsimha, for example. It's a vicious form. And what is it doing? It's destroying something that is unrighteous. It's just destroying Hiranyakshap. So, what form it comes in, it may come in actually a very cruel form. It may come in a very vicious seeming form. Right? It may come in a very stern form. It may come in the form of a dictator. Hmm? Right? One may say a benevolent dictator, but goes through, I mean, any period like this goes through a lot of churn. So he's not necessarily saying in what form they come, but from within this mass of humanity, certain individuals spring forth, right, who show a lot of spiritual maturity, a lot of clarity, a great leadership to lift humanity from its own suffering. So an individual or a group of individuals. And it may not be 100% lift, but within this country we have seen from age to age, great individuals are born who give spiritual clarity to us. One of the reasons why our traditions have lasted so long and they continue to grow and transform into, is that incredible individuals. Even right now in our day and age, one can count, among those who are popular at least, some incredible sages, gurus. How many more who are not known? Right. The idea is that the savior is always there. You just don't want saving. God is always there. You just only remember him when there is trouble. It's always there to help if you need it. But God will help only when you ask for help. And you'll only ask for help when you realize you're in trouble. And you'll only realize when you're in trouble once you face a lot of suffering. So here's a different, perhaps perspective to this. That God, or a being with God-like abilities, or in a sense people with divine qualities, always exist. It's just that humanity finds a demand for them, a need for them when there is actual suffering, right? So it's much like us, right? We reach out to our teachers, we reach out to people who can counsel us only when we are actually in trouble. Otherwise, once a year on a Diwali or on some other occasion, we'll send them greetings. They were always there. They always had that wisdom in them. It's just that our demand for them arose when a crisis hit us. So whenever there is a crisis, whenever there is a destruction, whenever there is a rise of adharma, these beings shine forth, right? And there's no doubt, people usually associate this knowledge and this spirituality with some kind of crisis. When I started studying Vedanta, some well-wishers asked me, "Is everything okay? Why are you going into all of this? Is everything okay? Something happened? Is there something you want to talk about?" So, thankfully for me at least, till today I've not figured whether something was wrong or not. I don't know, maybe something was wrong, but I didn't really articulate it to myself. But usually the idea is that, someone comes to this because there is conflict, because there is some kind of issue. And that is also true. 90% of people perhaps stumble upon Vedanta because there is some kind of crisis. And then appears some kind of solution, a teacher in their lives perhaps, or a guide, or someone who can help them. Well, the guide was always there, the teacher was always there, the knowledge was always there. You stumbled upon it because you had a demand for it only when there was a crisis, only then when there was a... See, adharma, this word adharma is a very broad term. On a macrocosmic sense, we can think of adharma as being destruction, evil, negative qualities. On a very individual level, even attachment is adharmic, isn't it? Attachment is adharmic. And in its own innocuous way, attachment causes lots of suffering. And when that suffering leads to a point where we cannot handle it, that's when we look out for help. So, here is an assurance of the Lord that the self is the eternal teacher and self-realized beings exist at all times. Don't worry. This eternal knowledge always exists. As Swami Ramatirtha said, truth crushed to the ground will rise like the phoenix from the ashes. This truth, this Sanatana Dharma cannot be erased. Sure, these words may be erased. It will come up in some different form. Right? So it's a great assurance to all of us. It's a great assurance that there is no shortage of solutions in this world. There's no shortage of knowledge in this world. But the question is, when do you stand up for yourself? When do you stand up to grow? When do you stand up to find those solutions? Right? Seek and it shall be opened unto you. Seek and it shall be opened unto you, said Jesus Christ. Right? So are we seeking? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Slightly different interpretation, right? One thing is to feel a sense of reassurance, but beyond that reassurance is also a sense of responsibility, that I am responsible for my own growth, right? And God helps those who help themselves. If I seek to help myself, help will come to me. If I seek to help myself, then the universe will give me solutions and answers and show me some ways with which I can take my next step, right? So I come for the protection of the virtuous, the destruction of the wicked, and the establishment of dharma. That's the role spiritually evolved people play. Spiritually evolved people cannot make others fully enlightened. It's not possible. Lord Krishna couldn't change Arjuna. What are we talking? Right? But this world goes through ups and downs, and the role these spiritually enlightened people play. First of all, the first and utmost priority is enlighten yourself. You don't have to save the world. You don't have to save the world. First enlighten yourself. First uplift yourself. First become enlightened. Only once you are enlightened will you be able to make perhaps some difference. And what is the difference they make? They destroy the wicked. They help the virtuous, protect the virtuous, and they re-establish dharma for a certain period of time. There's a certain amount of stability they bring. There's a certain amount of community and confidence and a sense of virtue they bring into society for some amount of time. Before again complacency sets in, before again there is a downfall, and before again when adharma sets in, seeps in too much, Again, there has to be a churn. So this churn goes on and on and on and on and on. The cycles of dharma and adharma will continue, and ultimately an individual also has to ask, how do I exit this cycle? What's the end to this? What's the end to all of this? That's the question, that's the query, that's the inquiry with which a person, a true sadhak, takes up the spiritual path. A truly enlightened sage is one who is beyond the cycles of dharma and adharma. A truly enlightened person is senayor ubhayor madhye, between the two armies of dharma and adharma. Very symbolic. That's why the Bhagavad Gita is given, the sermon is given to Arjuna in the middle of the two armies. On the one side is the army of dharma, on the other side is the army of adharma. In between the two armies, disassociated from both. Why? Because sometimes dharma will be stronger, sometimes adharma will be stronger. What's beyond this cycle? What's beyond this duality? Beyond this duality lies nirvana. Right? So on the one hand, it's a beautiful reassurance that I come from age to age. And on the other hand, it also gives us a vision of what lies beyond dharma and adharma. Verse number 9. जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन. जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन. And that's what we were talking about. True enlightenment. He who knows thus my divine birth and action in true light, having abandoned the body, is not born again. He comes to me, O Arjuna. Beyond one who is reassured by dharma and afraid of adharma, beyond one who is subject to these cycles of virtue and vice, beyond one who is a victim and is seeking for a savior, beyond that is a jnani who knows my divine birth and action in true light. Tattvatah. आप तत्व से समझते हो. You understand in essence what is this whole leela. You understand in essence the nature of the world and its inevitable fluctuation, this dvandva. It will go through ups and downs. You understand my divine birth and action in its true light. The play of spiritually evolved beings and their role from the ages, through the ages. Such a person has gained a deep insight into these mechanics of life. Such a person has explored what lies beyond these dualities. Such a person has attained nirvana, enlightenment. And once you attain enlightenment, once you attain self-realization, you become the self, you become one with the self. You come to me. Remember, when Lord is using me, he means the self. So coming to Krishna means becoming the self, becoming one with the self. And when you gain enlightenment, you are not born again. You have concluded the cycle of birth and death. So long as you are not enlightened, so long as you are in the cycle of karma, so long as you are this individual with this individuality, these individual vasanas, you're going through birth and death, birth and death. You're either incurring good karma or bad karma. And that's determining a variety of experiences. It's complex, it's deep, but broadly this is the mechanics. You're going through punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, again birth, again death. Repeating so many cycles. But the true sage steps out of this and asks, what's beyond all of this? And when they gain this deep insight about the world, about the nature of the world, when they gain enlightenment, they exit the cycle of birth and death. They're not born again. They become one with the Atman. They become one with God. They become one with the self. They become self-realized. You cannot understand the self. You cannot comprehend the self. You cannot feel the self. You can only become the self. You can only realize the self. And such a person is liberated. This is what we call liberated. Liberation means liberation from your own shackles, your own individuality, liberation from your own ego, the restriction of your own individual personality, which keeps you in this belief that I am this restricted, limited being. All our attempts is to remove these restrictions. We're just trying to remove the restrictions in the wrong way. We're trying to remove the restrictions through gaining wealth. What else is it? An attempt to gain so much wealth so we become unrestricted. I asked someone, how much money do you want? They said, I want to be comfortable. I said, what does it mean comfortable? They said, I don't necessarily want everything, but if I want something, I should be able to get it. What does that mean? They want to be unrestricted. That's another way of saying I want to be unrestricted. I don't know what I want, but if I want it, I should be able to get it. I said all the best. We're all looking to become unrestricted. We're all looking for limitless, either through wealth or through emotion. That's what we're looking for in love. Boundless love. Question is whether another individual can give you that love or not. So what we're looking for is the same. We're just looking for it in the wrong places. Whether wealth can truly make you limitless, whether emotion can truly make you limitless, these questions worth asking. But nonetheless, we sympathize, we empathize with all beings, because what we are looking for is becoming limitless, right? And true limitlessness is attained through enlightenment, nirvana, liberation, self-realization. Then you become the Atman. Verse number 10. Vitaraga bhaya krodha manmaya mamupashritaha bahavo jnana tapasa puta madbhava magataha. Vitaraga bhaya krodha manmaya mamupashritaha bahavo jnana tapasa puta madbhava magataha. Vita raga bhaya krodha. Raga bhaya krodha. Freed from them. Vita raga bhaya krodha. So freed from desire, fear and anger. Absorbed in me, manmaya. With mind absorbed in me. Taking refuge in me, ma upashtaha. Taking refuge in me. Purified by the fire of knowledge, many have attained my being. So he talks about a person who transcends this cycle of dharma and adharma. He's talked about enlightenment in verse number 9. Now he's telling you how to gain that enlightenment, how to achieve spiritual enlightenment. There are 3 yogas, the 3 spiritual disciplines which help you on the journey to grow and evolve, progress towards the path of enlightenment. Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. The 3 yogas, the yoga of action, the yoga of devotion, and the yoga of knowledge. For your body and its actions, you are a yogi, karma yogi. For your emotions, you are a bhakta, a devotee who does bhakti yoga. For your ideas and intellects and your philosophies, you are a jnani. So for different facets of your personality, encompassing the different facets of your personality are these 3 yogas. All 3 yogas are the same journey. They are only speaking to different parts of you. They're not for different people. You need karma yoga, you need bhakti yoga, you need jnani yoga. A bhakta is not a different from a jnani. And anyone who's trying to create that differentiation is misled and is misleading. So, freed from desire, fear, and anger. How do you free yourself from desire, fear, and anger? Huh? How do you free yourself from desire, fear, and anger? When you function in a selfish manner, when you function simply to fulfill your desire, you will be gripped by fear and anger. Why? Because if you get what you desire, you'll develop a fear of losing it. If you don't get what you desire, you'll be angry. And its various modifications. So desire-ridden action creates this loop, this creates this complex web of emotions that burn you out, that stress you out. I'm not talking about good or bad out here. We're not being moralistic out here. We're talking about the actual consequence of desire-ridden action. So to free yourself from desire, fear, and anger, you need karma yoga. You need to develop a spirit and attitude of service and sacrifice. You need to put yourself in the altar of a higher goal. Place yourself as simply a contributor to a higher goal and function in a spirit of collaboration, a spirit of dedication, a spirit of service. And the entire gospel of karma yoga, which we studied in chapter 3, that alone will help you get over the shackles of desire and its modifications: fear, anger, jealousy, envy. Unless you do this, you're not ready for higher spiritual knowledge. You can attain it, you can attend. See, the Upanishads are beautiful. They won't spend time explaining all of this. They just simply give you an indication. The first verse of the Ishavasi Upanishad, it says, Ma grida kasya svidhanam. Ma grida kasya svidhanam. Do not covet another person's wealth. It simply says that. In a way of saying that this is a prerequisite. Ma grida kasya svidhanam. Have you done it? Then read the next verse. Otherwise, the next verse is not meant for you. We live with envy and jealousy and arrogance. We have arrogance over our own wealth. We have envy and jealousy over others' wealth. We are constantly wanting what others have or becoming arrogant about what we have and others don't have. You have to do karma yoga to get rid of these stupid feelings. They're stupid feelings. Stupid from a spiritual perspective. You're a spiritual child if you have these feelings in your head. Time to close that Upanishad. Close it. Don't waste your time. Ma grida kasya svidhanam. If you've done that, then read ahead. Kurvan neveha karmani yatha. So, freed from desire, fear, and anger. He's explaining who is that enlightened person. How do you become enlightened? Karma yoga. Free yourself from desire, fear, and anger through karma yoga. And absorb yourself in me, taking refuge in me. Absorb yourself in me, taking refuge in me is bhakti yoga. Develop a spirit of surrender. And how do you develop a spirit of surrender? When you see a splash of divinity around you, when you cognize yourself with how things are beautifully functioning without your own doing. Right now we believe, if I don't do it, things will not happen. Everything is functioning without you lifting a finger. If you can help the process, please help. But don't think of yourself as indispensable. There's a splash of divinity functioning around you, spread around you, that's making things function meticulously, with you or without you. Develop a spirit of surrender to that and understand that if you do your part, nature will take care of everything else. So absorb yourself in this idea, in this thought, and take refuge in it. Means develop that assurance that you will be protected. You are protected. At any stage in life, we feel, oh my God, everything is stressing us out, everything is going wrong. 10 years later, we laugh at the same problem. You found a way out of it. Found a way out of it. You are protected. So that sense of reassurance, that sense of surrender comes only through this idea. And this is bhakti. Bhakti is nothing but awareing yourself of divinity all around you, either visible or invisible. You have to develop the eyes to see it. And the third yoga is Jnana Yoga, purified by the fire of knowledge. The fire of knowledge that will burn away most of your unnecessary vasanas. Knowledge that will give you clarity and direction and help you leapfrog towards your path of enlightenment. Jnana Yoga is that final thrust that helps us achieve escape velocity. Like a rocket. It just reorients us totally differently. It purifies us. It burns away all that dirt of ignorance, that mala. It makes us nirmala. So purify yourself with the fire of knowledge, Jnana Yoga. Through karma, through bhakti, through jnana, many have attained my being. This is the path. So to attain enlightenment, to go beyond dharma and adharma, get onto the yogas. Get onto karma, bhakti, jnana, and lift yourself. You alone are responsible for your growth. You alone can help yourself. You alone, when you don't help yourself, you alone cause your destruction, cause your suffering. The world is just a medium through which that pain and suffering or that joy and ecstasy comes to you. But you are responsible for your joy and you are responsible for your sorrow. We're not trying to blame anyone. Neither are we trying to glorify anyone. Right? So take control of your life and get on with the yogas. Every chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is called a yoga for this very purpose. That this entire study, this entire effort, endeavor is for the purpose of yoga, it's for the purpose of enlightenment. So through all these yogas can be summarized into three: karma, bhakti, jnana. For your body and its actions, for your emotions, and for your ideas and ideologies. Right? So this path will be your savior. This path is your true savior. And incidentally, when you get onto the path of yoga, you will be doing the work of the Lord. You will be doing the work of the Lord. The Lord will come through you to help others, to save others, to help address whatever issues there are around you. Right? So it's a different way to look at this, right? But I hope it resonated with you. And we'll take up questions on this. I'm sure there'll be many questions. I hope there are many questions. So we'll take up questions for this in the next class. I have a little bit of a hard stop now. So thank you so much for joining, but we'll see you again on Tuesday, and do come back with questions on this. Do read these verses. They're very famous verses. Verse number 7 and 8 particularly, very famous and very well known. So do go through the commentary as well. Right? It's beautifully explained, and it'll give you a deeper insight of what I have tried to convey today through this class. With that thought, thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you again on Tuesday. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Ji
Hari
Hari Om.
Om. Thank you so much.
Hari Om.
Thank you.